The two didn't talk for the rest of the ride. Both brothers were keeping their thoughts to themselves. Although whatever it was that the two were thinking about, it was abruptly interrupted by them noticing flashing lights behind them. Oh no! It's a police car! Huh? We've been asked to be pulled over. I know, but what about Azrael? Angel nervously glanced behind, looking back and forth between the truck and the police car. The fact that his brother was able to stay calm about all of it was impressive to him, to be honest. As Evan was slowly and carefully pulling over to the side of the road, he told Angel that they wouldn't do anything as long as they weren't acting suspicious. Angel, you go talk to them. Oh! Angel didn't complain. Not that he had the time to. Once the officers came over to their car, Evan rolled the side window down and let the officers have a look inside. As the man in uniform peered in, he saw the twin brothers. One was looking at him with indifference, and another smiled politely at him. Good evening, sir. What can we help you with? It was as if they were simply having a pleasant night out, with how casual Angel was acting. Evening, sirs. We just wanted to check in with you and make sure everything's all good here. There have been a few cases of people drunk driving here lately, and we just want people to be safe. Hope you don't mind. Oh, of course not. We understand the concern. Great. Thanks for understanding. Show us your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance, please. Here. Evan handed the documents needed as swiftly as he could. The cops took a brief look at it before nodding and pulling a small device, a breathalyzer. Evan was told to breathe into it, and the test came out negative. All right, you two are good to go. Thank you so much. Have a good night, sirs. Finding El's attitude to be very pleasant, the officers reciprocated his friendliness back at him. You two, have a safe trip and take breaks if you're sleepy on the road. The fog is also heavy, so drive carefully, yeah? We will. Take care of yourselves as well, officers. After a nod from the cops, the two watched as the police car parked behind them began to embark. Once Evan rolled up his window, the two certainly let out a sigh that they'd been holding in for a while. Oh, I was so nervous. Really now, I couldn't tell. It's a good thing you and those officers both couldn't. When Angel looked up, he saw Evan staring at him with narrowed eyes. But what? He didn't answer. Instead, he started the car once again before he held the steering wheel, prepared for the road. Nothing. The rest of the ride was quiet, uncomfortably so. An hour after midnight, they finally reached their old house. It was tucked away in the middle of nowhere, near an untouched forest, while being far from civilization. The last time these two had ever seen this house was when they were around 10. It was when they were brought away by Child Protective Services after someone had reported on their parents. Back then, the house was already somewhat worn, and nobody had taken the time to keep the house up to its prime state. Now, as the two stood in front of it, the house was much dingier. Overgrown plants covered with brittle walls. Some had even managed to find a way in and took residence in the house. With the suitcase beside him, Evan stared on at the house they used to live in. Countless thoughts buzzed his head. Evan tried muting all of them by shaking his head and redirecting his focus to Angel. When Evan took a look at Angel, he saw him staring blankly at the cluster of pure white mushrooms near the front door. It was destroying Angel. Come on, Angel. Angel jumped at that. He only let out a small nervous gasp before he followed his brother in. Despite the sorry state the house was in, the door still functioned properly. When Angel wandered in, silently observing what the old house had become, Evan had closed the door behind them. A click echoed through the empty house, causing Angel to turn around. Huh, you still have the key to the house? Not receiving any answer, Angel slowly asked, Why did you lock the door, Evan? We need to talk, Angel. Once he had mostly figured out his brother's intentions, he could only gulp as he let out a small smile. Okay, then let's find a place to sit down. Angel didn't show what he was thinking, and this caused Evan to be more on his guard. He simply let his younger brother roam around, searching for a good place to converse. How about the dining table? Evan followed after. Angel was dusting the table off, making it as clean as he could manage in such a short space of time. Afterwards, the two sat down across from each other. The chairs creaked as they sat, but it looked to be stable enough to support their weight for now. The brothers examined each other. Evan knew Angel was waiting for him to say something, so he started. I'll get to the point. Angel nodded. Azrael's death was your doing, wasn't it? What makes you think so? When we talked in the car, you brought up it might be the food. You brought up that the food might be the reason for Azrael's death. Never specified that it was the stuff we ate during Halloween. Yet you immediately assumed that it was. And Joe only blinked. Oh, I see. But the Halloween dinner was just the first thing that popped into my head. There was nothing more to it. Of course. But that was just the nail in the coffin for me. Before that, it's painfully obvious that you've been acting really weird these past few months. How so? I know that you sometimes act petty and spitefully whenever I get myself a partner. But with Azrael, you were being too aggressive. Oh, okay. Does that immediately rule out the fact that Azrael could have died of an accidental death? No. Then what are you getting at? Evan only sighed as he leaned forward. I was saying that you're getting bolder in your hatred against me. You weren't being subtle at all. Angel stared. His jaw slacked. You think I wouldn't notice? You were always hiding behind me whenever something happened, but I caught you staring at me with contempt numerous times before. Evan took notice of Angel's shift in expression. A scowl, one unbreathed to Angel's soft features. It was an abnormal sight, but Evan only regarded it as if he was used to seeing that look. Yeah, that look. Angel only sighed before he stared at the table in front of him, diverting his gaze from his older twin brother. I don't hate you, though. Far from it. Evidence and actions say otherwise, Angel. But let's say that I do, then. Wouldn't I try to kill you rather than Azrael? Here's what I think. You're in love with Azrael, so you tried getting closer to her. But I was in your way, so you tried to poison me, but you accidentally gave the plate to Azrael instead. In that case, it makes perfect sense that you were so panicked, insisting over and over to call the authorities. You feel guilty. Huh? So, am I right? Honestly, that's so baseless, I'm speechless. Aren't you supposed to be the smarter one between us? I mean, you're going to accuse me of something so grave. At least give me some concrete evidence or something. Sorry, I need to act quickly before you could take the upper hand. Angel let out a long sigh. But, by it being so groundless, you're somewhat correct. Evan's eyes widened at Angel's sudden admission of guilt. You're right that I killed Azrael, but you have the motive wrong. Sorry, Evan. Better luck next time. I'd prefer if there was no next time. Why did you do it? Slow down, let me correct you first. I didn't target the wrong person. I wanted to kill Azrael. I did just that. Do you really think I'm so clumsy that I'd make a mistake for something so crucial? Angel let out a soft chuckle. It carried slight bitterness to it. Well, it just goes to show how much you've always looked down on me. But I made the same mistake and underestimated you. I never expected you to keep your calm all this time and bring me to this old place. Thought you would have been panicked, broken down, or something. We'd call the authorities, you'd mourn the death of your beloved, and I'd most likely be found out for poisoning afterwards. Hearing this, Evan raised an eyebrow. He wanted to ask him something, but Angel seemed to be aware of it already, and he added, honestly, if I were to be caught, I would immediately plead guilty. Whatever my sentence would be, I'd accept it, and never elaborate on why I did it. Why, you might ask? Your girlfriend died. I killed her, and you never found out why. Wouldn't you want closure? Would your mind handle all the stress? I guess I wanted to see how you would react. Evan only left his mouth open, speechless. Instead, you brought me here to interrogate me. Or was that really why you did that, brother? I think there's something else. Deep down, you feel guilty, don't you? Whatever Evan wanted to say, it was struck and left unsaid, almost like a piece of fishbone that hooked itself on the flesh in his throat. This big reaction from Evan caused Angel to smile unknowingly. You feel that you've wronged me in some way, that I hate you because of you, and thanks to that hate, I killed Azrael. You'd feel responsible for her death, right? Maybe if you'd never met Azrael, never confessed to her, or maybe if you could just be a better brother, none of this could have happened. Is that why you wanted to talk to me first? To gain understanding? Or maybe you wanted to help me make up for it? That's Evan's unusual hesitation was all the confirmation Angel needed. Nah, so it was that. You're still so kind after all, Evan. That's why I love you. Evan froze. He slowly tilted his head upwards to look at his younger half. A pair of pale eyes just met his gaze. Angel was covering half of his reddening face. It was as if he was a flustered high school girl experiencing her first love. Oh, I said it. That's so embarrassing. What do you mean? Like I said, I don't hate you, Evan. In fact, I love you. I really love you. Love as in, how do I explain it? I don't know where it started. All I know is that you're the only one for me ever since you started defending me from Dad. I don't think I'd even be alive if it weren't for you. You'll hate me for this, but whenever I saw you all bruised up, my heart always skipped a beat. You were so quiet and gentle, but the more you stood up for me, the more you became this cold person. I love that, and I have that effect on you. I know that I could become a big reason why you're the way you are. What the? Yeah, I'm with you, Evan. This is gross. Angel stood up from his seat. I love how dependable you are. Angel took a step forward, approaching Evan. I love how kind you are. I love how much you're willing to sacrifice yourself to me. I love seeing your reaction whenever you think you've done something wrong. I love seeing red and blue bruises adorning your skin. I love you. Angel, you have issues, man. Evan was stunned into silence at his brother's lengthy propagation of love. He felt every inch of his body go numb with his intensity. As Angel got increasingly closer, Evan slowly reached into the side of his coat. Evan soon regretted his decision, though, as Angel immediately rushed over upon seeing it, drowning in his own panic. Evan also stood up and was about to run off. Evan, however, tripped on one of the table legs. It gave Angel a window of opportunity to catch up and hold on to him, which he quickly acted on. With Evan on the ground, Angel sat on his back, forcing his entire body weight down as he forcefully reached inside of Evan's coat. What's this, Evan? Angel asked as he pulled something out of Evan's coat. A hammer? What are you planning to do with this thing? To hurt me? Gritting his teeth, Evan struggled. Yeah, because clearly I don't feel safe around you. Get off me, Angel. Oh. Angel only stared at the back of his brother as he made the decision in his head. He decided to swing the hammer down to Evan's skull, causing him to grunt. Scarlet red began to stain Evan's colourless hair. A grin slowly crept up on Angel's face. The sight of it made Angel's heart race, his breathing heavy, his head light. The euphoria he felt upon seeing his own flesh and blood injured because of him was unbearable. He craved more of it, so he swung down once again, and again, and again. It was when Evan fell unconscious that Angel snapped out of it. When Evan awoke, he found himself lying on the ground of the familiar basement with a stinging headache. It was the basement of their old house, dark, dingy, and musty. Evan remembered vividly that he was in this room that his parents used to trap them when they misbehaved. Not only that, he also saw the suitcase where his dead girlfriend was in, standing not too far from where he was. Everything about it choked Evan up. He wanted to leave. Now. He tried to get up, battling the intensive pain in the back of his head. However, he soon found out that his hands were handcuffed. When he moved his legs, one of them was cuffed to one of the pipes that was stuck to the wall. No fucking way. The realization that his younger brother kidnapped him was starting to dawn on him. It was suffocating him. His eyes felt like they were about to burn as tears threatened to leave his eye sockets. What did he do to deserve this? He wanted to give Angel a chance to explain himself. He wanted to give the brother he shared his suffering with the benefit of the doubt. He gave everything to Angel, and he trampled it all down to the ground, stomping and ripping it to shreds while he was at it. Perhaps this was his punishment for treating Azrael so horribly after her death, he thought, for choosing to listen to Angel first before his girlfriend. Guilt weighed heavily on him. He didn't have time to dwell on it, as he heard a sound that made him nearly jump. Evan rubbed his eyes quickly before looking at the door. He saw Angel walking in with a bottle of water in his hand. As soon as Angel saw his older brother, he gently, almost ironically, as soon as Angel saw his older brother's face, a gentle, almost ironic, angelic smile crept onto Angel's face. Evan, you're awake. You were unconscious for a while. I even had time to cuff you and tend to your wounds. Evan only lowered his head, not giving him any response to to Angel whatsoever. This made Angel tilt his head. When he got close to Evan, he suddenly felt something wet splashing on his cheek. It turned out that Evan just spat on him. "Get me out of here!" Angel only rubbed his cheek, still with that oh so gentle smile on his face. "I'm surprised you're still fine after all that. Never fail to impress me with your strength." "I said, get me out of here, Angel." "Or what? Or what? Or what?" "You're insane, Angel." "What do you mean by or what? Get me." Evan's hysterical howling was abruptly stopped when Angel seized Evan by the jaw. He dug his nails into his skin, inciting a groan out of Evan. "Quiet down for me, will you? Just you'll stay here for as long as you can, until either you die or I get captured. Do you understand?" Evan could only growl at Angel before he bit down on Angel's hand as hard as he could. He even managed to puncture the skin. Angel gasped and immediately pulled away, looking back and forth between his bleeding wound and Evan. His reaction, coupled with the searing taste of iron in his mouth, made Evan scoff triumphantly. "Serves you right, you fucking lunatic." "Huh." "Evan, you're so adorable. I think I'm falling for you all over again. Falling in love." Falling in love. The moment Evan heard those words again, it was as if his insides turned upside down. However, no matter how unpleasant he felt, he didn't want to quiet down and bow down to Angel. That was the last thing he'd do. You're joking. How can you call those rotten feelings of yours love? What you love isn't me, it's my suffering. In other words, you hate me, loathe me. You're not wrong, but you're not right either. Loving you so much that I despise you, or hating you so much that I adore you, doesn't change the fact that what I feel for you is intense. So intense that I can't hold it in much longer. And I love that feeling, which means I love you. Perhaps not in the traditional way, but it's still love. Evan could only knit his brows in response. Unlike Angel, he was someone who didn't delve much into his emotions. Therefore, Angel's ramblings about how he felt had only managed to confuse him. He didn't get his brother. He couldn't understand him one bit. He didn't want to be able to understand him. "You're not making any sense, Angel." Angel, on the other hand, had expected this response from Evan. He only smiled with tranquility and understanding. "Then I'll just make you understand during our time together." As they talked, both Evan and Angel heard a gurgling noise coming from the older twin's stomach. Angel only flashed a smile at that before he stood up. "But that time isn't now, it seems. I'll go get us some breakfast." "Like hell you're gonna do that. Hey, come back!" As if deaf to his brother's pleading, Angel walked back to the door. The last thing Evan saw was Angel's beaming smile as he closed the door. "Sit tight and wait for me, okay?" "Are you kidding me?" "Angel!" The door closed shut, engulfing Evan's world into darkness once again. Oh, that was messed up. That's a good story. Very good story. But, oh, that was a lot. If you managed to stick with that till the end, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!